Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 805. And in today's episode, we're talking about what to do if we feel lost. Lost in life, lost in our career, relationships. It could be literally anything. And I know this very well because I've felt lost many times throughout my life. You see, when I was young, I didn't really know who I was. I didn't believe in myself. I would kind of think about who I wanted to be, but I never felt as if I could be myself. And I felt separated, as if like people didn't understand what I was going through. And that led me to feel like not capable, not worthy, not deserving. And that lasted for many, many years growing up. And it had a huge impact in my relationships, in my health, in my education. Because feeling lost feels like you just have nothing to grasp onto. Like you feel very separated. And sometimes you'll think that people don't understand you, or people aren't like you, or you may feel like you're unfixable or broken. So I know what it's like to be there. In fact, there are other times in my life, for example, when I first started doing hypnosis, there are times when I felt lost because I didn't know how to get my work out there in terms of just seeing one-to-one clients. So there are times I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I want to help people, but I don't know how. And it led me to get good at business and a thriving business and everything like that, so I can then help more people. But there are so many times in those younger years of my life and as a young adult where I felt very lost and alone. And I also want you to know, if you feel lost and alone, there are so many people who have felt that way in the past, more than just myself. There are so many people who have felt that way but overcame it. And that's what I really want to go into today. Like, how can we feel found when we feel lost, broken, and unable to kind of get to where we want to be? And we can apply this, as I said, in our health, our relationships, our career, our finances. But the nature of being lost is something that we've got to just pay attention to. We've got to ask ourselves, if this is my present reality, what do I have to do to be able to move myself from where I am to where I want to be? Even if we don't know where that is, even if you don't know the how, you want to have an idea of maybe what it will feel like to be found. And to me, that brings to mind of like words like feeling grounded, feeling centered, feeling secure. Not scarcity, but a level of gratitude even. And when we're in that state of not feeling in that kind of found way, it's so important to just assume responsibility in waking up to that. Not to let it carry on, not to allow it to just kind of bleed over to different areas of our life. We want to be able to go, look, okay, right now, this is my present reality where I feel lost. But how can I feel a sense of groundedness right in this moment? One of the things that I used to do was to look for examples of people who have been in my situation, who have overcame that situation, and from the outside, when we don't quite know, but maybe by speaking or observing them, they feel like, or we feel like they've kind of got their stuff together. Of course, they're still human, they're still working things out, but they've had the issue and overcame it, and therefore, you have an example what can be done. If we feel lost, we have no evidence of being where we want to be. There's nothing out there. We feel lonely. We feel fear, worry, scarcity because we don't have it. Now, if we don't have it, that's for lack of, we want to be able to find people who have it so we have a direction of where we want to go. And it also gives us evidence that it's possible. You see, when we go, I am lost, I'm broken, I'm unfixable, you are isolating yourself to any form of potentiality of a solution. And we've got to quit that. We've got to stop that. I understand why we do it, by the way. I mean, it's so easy to fall into a trap and go, I don't know what to do, because these feelings weigh us down. There's a heavy burden to carry. But even if it's a heavy burden to carry, and we feel like we can't grasp out to anything for ourselves, and if we look for other people who have done that, it gives us a sense that it's possible. We don't know how yet, but we have a sense that it's possible. And if you look deeper into it, and there's so many characters, people throughout history who have gone through so many different things. And it may not be directly to being, say, lost. It could be extremely depressed or having grown up in forms of abuse and managed to move through that. So by knowing and looking for those examples, it is evidence, not just to you consciously. You see, your unconscious mind needs evidence to be able to go, oh, maybe it is possible. The other thing is, when we feel lost, we don't feel as if we're being seen, heard, or felt. And that is one of the key values, one of the most important things that we want in this human experience. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be felt. We want to be able to kind of be understood almost. Well, you can't do that if you don't let the wall down, if you don't kind of let down the boundaries. There's so many people who suffer in silence. And especially these days with men as well, because emotionally they're meant to be the big, strong man, but it also means they don't have an outlet to be able to get support. They feel like they've got to bottle it up. Now, of course, it is man, woman, children, all those kind of things as well. But to be vulnerable and go, it's okay to open up. It's okay to reach out to someone. And that could be someone who is a therapist, a coach, a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist. It could be just acknowledging yourself right now, listening to this to go, okay, I'm not the only one here. And I know my values and my human needs aren't being met. And that goes into the next side of things. What are our needs? If we were to just consider, even if it's so hard to even possibly imagine, because usually it is. You see, if you don't feel good enough, whatever you're deserving, or if you feel totally lost with no direction, you have no sense of self, right? The sense of self, of our identity. But if you were to imagine, which is the hard part, because identity-wise, we don't believe it or think that it's even possible. But if you were to wake up one day and become the person you want to be, and if that is truly a big struggle that you cannot even fathom that, you can't even comprehend it, think of that evidence of someone who has got that, and because that means it's not you anymore and it's someone else. And consider, if you were to look through the eyes of that person who feels found, who feels they have that sense of direction, what is present that is not present right now? Really think about it. Notice where we are. Notice what it feels like to be lost, or to feel as if like we don't have direction, or fear, or we have fear or scarcity. And then if you look through the eyes of that person or that future you, what is present in that future you that isn't present in the now? And notice what word pops up. It could be a failing. It could be external evidence. So it could be a person in our life. It could be materialistic things. It could be I say material, but something external beyond ourselves, like a career. What is it that we feel is missing in the present self that is present in that future self, or the example of a person who has what you want? Hallucinate it in your mind. What would that you or that person be thinking every day? What words are they saying to themselves? What are the thoughts that they have? Do they have the inner critic like we may presently do? Or is it a positive inner self-talk? What are the feelings that person has? Is it that level of groundedness? Is it that inner security? Is it being open? Like just being open to be able to be seen, heard, and felt. You see, in order to know where you presently are or what is missing, it's good to enter different perceptions. And we call this in my field, like perceptual positions. So different positions have different perceptions. For example, if you look through your own eyes, you'll have a certain perception. Almost like that perception is formulated based on the experiences that we've gone through. So you're seeing the world through a certain lens. For some people, it could be the lens of abuse. It could be the lens of being bullied. It could be the lens of bad relationships or bad upbringing. It could be the lens of scarcity. So that is your perception. But when you then move the position into someone else's eyes, you then change your lens. You change your perception. And if we want to let go of not feeling, or so we want to let go of being lost and having no direction, the very nature of just considering either the evidence of success or stepping inside that future you or someone who has what you want, it causes your unconscious mind to hallucinate that as a possibility. You almost got to go there to try it on. So if you go ahead and consider going and looking through the eyes of the person you're about to become, or people who have succeeded in feeling fine, who feel seen and heard, you're telling your unconscious mind not only is it possible, but it's also accessible. Even if it's not an ever-present thing right now, it causes you to go, well, this is what it's like to be this way, even if it is unimaginable. You see, most people I work with who enter my program, they cannot even imagine what it's like to feel love or worthy or deserving or enough. It's really, really hard because it's our identity. But if we just take that leap and just consider it, even if you don't think it's possible, it'd be a miracle for that to happen. The nature of going there causes your unconscious mind to see the world in a slightly different way. Now, if we're talking about, say, seeking out people who have achieved what we want, then the next step is to consider, where do those people live, right? How can I be around people who have what I want? You see, I think success rubs off, right? It just leaves a trail of success, strategy, and certain traits. And if you're feeling lost and unable to know where you're going, well, I would be wanting you to find someone who's really had that experience. And it could be a team of people. I want people on your side. As I said about my program, we are our greatest supporters, from myself, other people in the program, the people in the team. All of that is yeah, we've got your back. And unfortunately, when we don't feel found and we feel in a disarray of feeling lost, we don't have people to lift us up. And I believe every relationship should be about lifting us up. So how can you find people who are either presently going through what you're going? I mean, that's why we think of say, AA. It can be a lifesaver for so many people because they feel as if they're not alone. They feel like there's someone there who's got them back. They can make that phone call when they're in that time of questioning if they should or shouldn't have a drink. Regardless if you believe if it works or it doesn't work, there are some elements, even if you think about, say, religion and community, there are great elements that allows this kind of feeling of okay, I'm not alone. And if you think about it, in today's day of being so overwhelmed with the noise of social media, the news, being immersed in other people's lives, it causes us to feel more lost than ever before. You see, if we go back in time, let's go way, way back in time when We were hanging around like tribes. There was a community there. You worked together. There was a level of you were going to be looked after, and you are also going to look after other people. Now, in today's world, if you feel lost and alone, you've probably not got that community. You haven't got your tribe looking out for you, checking in on you. And also, when that happens back, you tend to want to do that for those in your life. So the nature of going, look, I need to consider what it's like to be on the other side, so I have a different lens as to where I'm heading. There are examples of evidence of it's possible. That means, even if I don't believe it, it means it is possible. And that's the key there. Most people think it's impossible because they've been so trodden down by their life experiences. But if it is possible, it is possible for you too, even if you don't believe or know how yet. But then recognize, look, let's be really, really real. We have to stick together. We've got to look and bring people into our life who are going to understand you. You see, when I do my podcasts, even like on the pre-show, we get together, we talk, we kind of have fun, we discuss certain subjects and all those kind of things. It does give us a sense of unity. Like, it may not be to like the greatest level because it's literally just chatting on like on the youtube.com/Joseph Clough to check it out. But there is that sense that we're in it together. And that means you're not alone if we're in it together. So find people who are just like you. But here's the one disclaimer though. It is a big one. Groups will fail if they don't either usually have like a leader of some sort, in a sense, in this case, an expert or someone pushing it forward. And also they fail if people within that group aren't willing to make that change. You see, some people will go, well, yeah, that's why you're lonely, because I feel this way, and these are all the reasons why I should feel lonely. And that's not going to help us. If there are people who are surrounding ourselves with have all these reasons to staying the same, and you're just kind of going, well, yeah, that's why I'm lonely too, because all those reasons you had and all my reasons, you're building up the evidence of not changing. So you just want to make sure that those that you surround yourself with are moving in the positive direction. They don't have to know all the answers. I'm not saying that. They don't have to have everything figured out. But they got to have that desire to go, look, together we have this group goal. And that group could be 2 people, obviously, you and someone else. But it could be 5, 6 people. It could be 20, 30 people. But when you come together, you go, look, this is me being vulnerable. I bring down the walls because I know that you're like that too. How can we help each other lift each other up? How can we create a movement of coming together and making the changes separately, but also in unity? So just remember that. Don't surround yourself with people in groups who are always going to be the doubters, the pessimistic, because sometimes they become like the energy vampires, which will keep you held back and held down. So notice the trend of people who want to help you. And remember to help them too, because if we go back throughout time, we had far more levels of community, of connection. We had far more levels of physical connection, like just being in the presence of someone. It could be on the other side of the room, but there's a level of presence rather just being observing on Facebook and things like that. You want to be able to bring people into your life. So no, look, it's okay to feel lost. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you when you feel lost. It just means you haven't found all the pieces. You see, when I go and teach people, there's a level of confusion at sometimes because it's new information. But confusion is not that you don't know. It means that it actually means you've got everything, all the pieces of the puzzle. You just don't know how to put them together yet. Well, if we just now change that to feeling lost, it's not that you are absolutely lost. It's just you haven't found the pieces of the puzzle which will allow you to feel found and seen and heard. It is not a negative thing to feel vulnerable. Maybe in our life experience, because maybe we've been told certain things about ourselves that we're not worthy, deserving, good enough, which makes us feel like, oh my goodness, I can't open up to anyone in the fear of being hurt. That's what it's about, right? I mean, if we really look in the mirror and look into our eyes, sometimes we don't want to let people in because we don't want to get hurt again. Maybe we've had many experiences of being let down or being told certain things. So that's your evidence as to why we can't let down those walls. But let's find new evidence together. Like wherever you go to the YouTube channel, like join us live and be connected. That's free. You haven't got to pay for that. It may be a little bit of a distance, but we have people from South Africa, we've got Australia, we've got New Zealand, we've got Canada, we've got England, we've got America. We've got people all over the place. But we all have the same common intention, which is to upgrade our mind, no matter what experiences we've been through. And that just means you can feel okay being you. You will know you're not only alone, but you can be seen, you can be heard, and even be felt at that distance, because there's that resonance. And at the moment, we don't have that resonance. And that's why we feel lost and alone. We don't have that inner alignment or direction. So to really sum things up, as I said, know that it's okay. You're not broken if you're feeling lost or alone. In fact, I'm going to let you in on something. I believe, and you may not have to agree with me this, I mean, we can all agree to disagree. I mean, there's a lot of disagreements in the world, and I just think, look, if that's your belief, as long as it's not hurting anyone. So feel free to reject my belief. But in our greatest times of feeling lost and alone, in our greatest times when we feel not worthy, where we feel there's more darkness than there is light, that is the time where we get to grow. That's the time where we can have a wake-up call. You see, if you're just okay, you're not really living. If you're just living in that no man's land of like, I'm not that good, but I'm okay-ish, all of that, you're not really living. Sometimes we've got to feel the pain. Sometimes we've got to feel the resistance. Sometimes we've got to feel the sense of loss, the lack, to realize what we need to feel fulfilled. And it's not about external needs. So for example, I'm not talking about fulfilled through things. I'm talking about feeling fulfilled from just within. You don't need the alcohol, the drugs, the gambling, the sex, all of those things to feel validated and feel fulfilled. You get validation by going, look, it's okay. I'm in a place that feels dark, but it only feels dark because we haven't found the light. And it's only darkness with light, right? You can't have, they're both like the same, right? You can't have those. It's out there somewhere, and sometimes we have to look within while simultaneously acting and looking for the evidence. So never give up. If I gave up and I just remained stuck and lost throughout those times, where I'd be starting my business at 18 years old, feeling lost, or going further back for those 18 years of never feeling like I could make something out of life. If I stayed that way, then these episodes, 805 today. In fact, on YouTube, I forgot to say this on the pre-show, I got notified we've done 2 million downloads or views on YouTube, let alone the 13 or so plus on the podcast. Just that blows my mind because I love doing this. But if I stayed the same, thinking, well, that's what my life has justified to feel a sense of loss, or everything was just okay, then I wouldn't have probably done any of this. I used that resistance, I used that darkness to be able to go, I've got to have a wake-up call. That's where you start to feel meaning. So if you want to feel seen, heard, and felt, reach out to people who can help you. There's no shame in that. You can grasp out, you can put your hand out, and someone will put their hand out. Now, be respectful of the person. Maybe they can't help, but even if they can't, there's so many people out there who can. Sometimes people can become overly reliant on the one person can only help them. I actually had people email before like, you are the only one who can get me out of this issue. And I always say, that is a lie. There are so many people who want to help you. So be open-minded, be connected. You are the sum of your environment. You're the sum of the people you surround yourself. We can be the sum of our past experience. But when we wake up to something more, we wake up to go, I'm done with this. I'm ready to bring down the walls, even if I might get hurt again. Because feeling hurt and lost alone, the absence, is not very fun for the rest of our life. So reach out, step up, and know that you'll get through it. I've gone through it. Everyone I work with has moved through it. Many people I see throughout history have moved through it. And if that is, even if it's one person, even if it's just me or it's just the other person that you found, it is possible. It is possible. And to me, that means that you are possible, that you can have all the things that you desire when you get the internal validation, not through things, but by yourself, and to feel comfortable in moving forward and stepping up. So utilize it as like this energy to go, I'm ready. I am sick and tired of feeling lost and alone. I don't know how, but I'm going to seek out the evidence. I'm going to look through the eyes of what is present in the other person, imaginary or not, compared to what I don't have. And then I'm going to go on a mission to seek out people who I can feel like there is that community, that tribe of loving and lifting each other up. That's where things get exciting. And guess what? A lot of those things can be free, right? You can pay your way into groups if you wanted to. Like my program, we have a community, but it's a paid program. It's not to say that's the only solution. There are many people, many groups, many people wanting to be around just like you because they're in the same place. So never, ever, ever give up and realize that you are more powerful than you can ever imagine. You've just got to kind of have that bit of evidence, go through the perceptual positions, look through the eyes, and really go, this is my time to shine, to give and get people around me in my corner. And then you'll feel seen. And that anchors us. That gives us the resourcefulness. That gives us like, I'm okay. Because you are okay. You may not feel like it. You may not think it. You may absolutely not believe it. But you can get to that place. We're not broken. We're not unfixable. I've seen it time and time again. Everyone has that identity, belief system. But it's just a learnt belief. You didn't come into this world having that belief. Something went on throughout our past, which caused us to go through that different direction. But you haven't always been that way. There was a time, in my opinion, that you were whole, that you were loved. You are love. You are peace. You are just conflict free. So once again, that's evidence that you've had it. So maybe this past resistance will allow us to learn through it. And those learnings will allow us to feel more whole than ever before in every single way. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And also keep just listening to the hypnosis. Consistency, that discipline of increasing your esteem is going to be a game changer. We've got 805 episodes you can listen to just to keep your head in the game and keep moving forward. And then apply those things that I've said within this podcast, and you'll be exactly where you want to be in the near future. I know it to be true. You may not believe it just yet, but it's absolutely positive and possible in every single way. So I hope you got value from this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you on a future one. And that means we can rise up together as a community. Let's take a stand on that. We rise up together, we connect together, and that means you feel like you can be reflected back the evidence of what is possible. So with that, many thanks and goodbye.